The Epiphone Les Paul Traditional Pro. I got this one in a trade and it came to me in this rather nice slash case. It's not a slash guitar, but it is a very nice case and it is a very unique guitar indeed. So grab your coffee, your tea, your beer, whatever you want. I'll explain why I've got this baseball bat here as well. The actual lovely nerdy stuff is just wonderful on this guitar because it's got so much. First impressions of this guitar when I picked it up was just how beefy the neck is, and I'll show you the exact specs and all that stuff, and I'll do the measurements later, and the weight of the thing as well. It is a pretty chunky, meaty thing. This is a no messing about Les Paul. You definitely know you've got a Les Paul in your hands when you pick this up, no question. Now, what you can see here, hopefully that comes through on the camera, is that this has very much a worn finish across the back and the neck. It is a solid mahogany neck and a mahogany back with a carved top. You can see that gloss top. And you've got your Grover tuners there, which are the official real deal. One thing that did stand out to me when doing this review was the fact that it actually says limited edition Epiphone custom shop. I believe all that means is that it's limited edition finishes, etc. I don't believe it's necessarily the same thing as a Gibson custom shop. It can't really be the same. I'm sure these are still much more kind of mass produced, but it's interesting nonetheless. And it does have these rather nice, coil splits on both of these humbuckers. Supposed to be mimicking the kind of Gibson burstbucker pickups on these, and they do a pretty convincing job. These are actually much better than your average Epiphone pickups. I was pretty pleased with these. I have the slash Les Paul as well, and those sound pretty good. They sound much better than your average kind of muddy Les Paul pickups. These are along similar lines. There's much more clarity than usual with these, so I'm pretty chuffed with those. The other thing was the bridge. Now, this is pretty cool because it is what they call a Locktone tunematic, and in fact, it has little clasps inside which grip onto the posts, which obviously means that when you're changing strings, etc., there's much more stability in this. So again, very nice feature, really cool feature set. It even comes with, as you can see, there's the pickguard there. That's the standard pickguard. I prefer to have that off anyway, so I've just left it. And it came with strap locks. So these are official Epiphone strap locks that the guitar came with. So again, rather nice. So to show you now why I got my baseball bat for this one, I wanted to show you just what the neck carve was like, because it's really pretty beefy on this guitar. That is the baseball bat, and that is what it looks like at the 12th fret. That's what it looks like at the 1st fret. The biggest difference that I would say would be this C shape. On this guitar, it's got more of that typical Epiphone D. It's still very comfortable though. I wouldn't knock it, it feels good. So looking at the pickups output, we're talking 8.97 k ohms for the bridge position, 4.29-ish for both, and 8.22 for the neck position. Now this has the single coil splits, so we'll do that as well, just for fun. So if I do that, but lift both of those, that radically changes things, as you would expect. So bridge is now 4.64, both 2.14, and the neck 3.98. So relatively speaking, in the humbucker position, that's about what I would expect. It's maybe slightly hotter than what I've seen a typical Epiphone set of pickups being, but that's kind of what I would have thought from these pickups, because they do sound slightly hotter than a normal Epiphone humbucker set, which is definitely in the guitar's favour. The binding and fretwork on the guitar is actually pretty nice, quite well done. The fretwork itself, you don't feel any sharp nibs or anything like that. It feels very smooth up and down. The binding, you can see maybe tiny, if I'm being super picky, you see little bits where the paint's gone over slightly. Just these kind of little finished bits and pieces, a little bit of the paint there as well, where it's gone slightly over, that kind of thing, but nothing too major. It's not perfection, but it's not awful either. It's pretty good. You know, I'd give it a solid, 7 or 8 out of 10 in terms of the binding. And most importantly, the fretwork itself is actually very nice. It feels very nice to play. It feels very smooth, especially with that nice rosewood fingerboard as well. It does feel really good. At the first fret, the neck depth is 23 millimeters. And the 12th fret is 25.6 millimeters. So a pretty chunky neck. The nut width is 42.9 millimeters. Width at the 12th fret is 52.3 millimeters. So let's have a look inside the pickup cavities. Looks very tidy in there. Epiphone USA pickups, the serial number, bit of shielding paint in there. Looks quite good. That's the bridge pickup. Looking at the neck pickup, similar type of deal. Epiphone USA in there. Shielding paint, no long neck tenon or anything like that, but it does look very solid in there, and that's just your gap through to the toggle switch. So yeah, it looks pretty good. The guitar is most definitely not a featherweight. It's 4.3 kilograms or 9 pounds 6.8 ounces, so it's a pretty heavy beast. Despite the guitar's weight, it's actually very comfortable. I normally don't really like heavy guitars at all. Anything over sort of 3.6 kilograms has me sort of, feeling a little bit uncomfortable if I'm playing for any length of time. I feel anyway, after an hour or two. Having said that, this one isn't like that. I think that is probably because there's quite a lot of weight in this mahogany neck. It is because of the chunkiness of that neck. It's a big old neck. I think a lot of that weight is actually in there as just as much as it's in the body. Obviously the body is a giant slab of mahogany. That's a much smaller slab, but you've still got quite a good amount of weight in there. And I think that's why when you're putting it across your shoulder, it actually feels much more comfortable than a lot of Les Pauls do hanging off your shoulder, because there's that weight that's in there is balanced out at least to some extent by the neck. So it feels very comfortable standing up with, strangely. So going inside, the cavity looks good. You've got a couple of full-size pots in there, made in Korea it says, quite tidy wiring, and you've got the coil splits there. So what I would say is they do look like smaller pots for the coil splits, but let me know what you think in the comments. Is that a necessity that they have to be smaller pots, or could they be larger pots? Whichever way, it does look pretty good in there. It looks like it's got some shielding paint again. Inside the toggle switch cavity looks pretty good. Nothing particularly surprising or alarming in there. Looks sound, looks well done. thoughts on this guitar. I'm actually very pleasantly surprised. I wasn't expecting much when I actually got this, but it really packs in a lot of features. It's got the Grover tuners, it's got the rosewood fretboard, it's got the smooth worn back finish to the back of the guitar on the body and the neck. That actually makes it feel really fast to play. It feels really nice, but it's also really chunky, which I really like because I've got big hands. So if you've got big hands, you might like it too. The zebra core pickups sound really decent. They're slightly wound differently, I think, from normal Epiphone humbuckers. So there's none of that kind of muddiness which you might get on some other Les Pauls. Not just Epiphones maybe, but on other Les Pauls, shall we say, of different brands, might have less clear pickups. These are actually really, really nice and clear. The coil tapping on these is really good as well. I was quite pleasantly surprised by the coil tapping feature on this. It does work very well. Even the clasps on the Tune-o-matic bridge, a really nice feature to have. So overall, a really solid guitar. It feels really well balanced when you're standing up playing it. And I would highly recommend, if you seek one out, if you're interested in finding one, do go for it. Try it, see if it suits you. And yeah, you could do a lot worse than one of these. So enjoy, like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.